It's Thursday night, and we're trying to build another deck, but it's not going to be very good, I can tell. So this is a request. Somebody commented in the YouTube comments asking for a Cardassian deck, preferably a pure Cardassian deck. And I have to say, this is something that I've always struggled with. I don't think I've ever built a good pure Cardassian deck. I use them mainly as support affiliation, usually with Federation. Cardassian Bajoran is an excellent combination. There's the Cardassian Romulan deck, but a pure Cardassian deck I think I've only taken to a tournament once and failed miserably. But here is what I've been able to cobble together over the last hour or so. So let's just have a look at the basic cards that I think can make the backbone of a Cardassian deck. So usually I'd look at Central Command for the free play, since Cardassians have quite a few Gulls or Legates that can play for free. So that's your free card play, and that combines nicely with Study Divergent History. Plays on the HQ anyway. We have to stop 2 alpha, 2 mirror. And thanks to the other backbone of Cardassian decks, the infinite assigned support personnel and Dominion War Efforts engine that lets you download a support personnel to your matching facility. And with Dominion War Efforts in play, as long as that's a Cardassian support personnel, you don't have to discard it, unlike other affiliations that want to use this. So we have this engine that allows us to download mirror support personnel to the central command. We stop them with Study Divergent History and alphas, so that already gives us 2 card draws in our orders phase. We get a regular end of turn card draw for 3 draws per turn. We can play 1 for free with the central command. We can play 1 as our regular card play. So ideally we're looking at another free play engine, so that we can have 2 free plays and the regular card play. Another option would be to do this with new arrivals and just be content with the 1 free play and the 1 card play and still get the extra draws. But I try to get some more plays here. Of course, that means we need another engine where we can play our other free play on. One of the things that always come to mind is the Insurrection mission, where you can play Sonar and also Baku personnel, which is just dead solid. And Insurrection is also an important mission that can draw a dead end. So that's definitely something that that should work. However, it's been done to death, and I've used it myself so often that I try to steer away from it. So I'm trying to find something else. So I'm trying to do another Cardassian free play and then still another free play. Let's have a look. I'll have the Q's tent, and my other doorway will be the first stable wormhole, which allows me to set up shop with some Gamma Quadrant missions. So from the outside, I'd put in the, where are we? The wormholes, 1 in the Gamma Quadrant, 1 in the Alpha Quadrant. And then in the missions, I hope that one of my first missions is in the Cardassian region. It is indeed. So in the Alpha Quadrant, I'm entirely in the Cardassian region. In the Gamma Quadrant, we have 1 planet and 1 space. And this is our Cardassian region. And there is also Verify Legendary Journey, which says may insert adjacent to Bajor region or Cardassian region. So we can always put it close to the wormhole, but ideally we want our headquarters mission close to the wormhole so we can get to the Gamma Quadrant. And this one as far away from our opponent as possible. So it's not ideal if you draw this as your first card or as one of the cards that you have to seed close to where your opponent is. So let's just put it over here. Okay, so we've got a couple of missions in the Cardassian region, including Resist Occupying Forces, which says if Cardassian Liberation Front is played, this is worth 10 more points, so a juicy 40 points, together with Cressari Rendezvous, where we can score 45 if we discard 4 hand weapons. Then we're only a few bonus points away from a 2-mission win here. Also, our opponent should think, because these are not missions that we are going to attempt here. Instead, we are looking at a win solving Investigate Omicron Particles for 35 and Verify Legendary Journey for 40, brings us to 75, and then we are 25 points short, and we have some ways in the deck to do this round the corner. Or if this doesn't work, if one of our bonus point engines fails anyway, we have to do a 3rd mission then. So even though it's 2 missions away from the HQ, both of these missions here in the Cardassian region are only span 2, and Verify Legendary Journey is also a span 2, so that's just 6 to get over here. So that's not too bad. Okay, so we have our HQ at the headquarters mission. We see it started Divergent History there. We have the ASP War Efforts combo for a steady supply of support personnel. And then what else have we got? We have a seeded Defend Homeworld. We have a seeded Taking Charge. We have reshaped the Quadrant as the DS9 property icon, our property logo engine, and this will download Joint Operation. And this one says we may download Treaty Romulan Cardassian. We do this. We are not going to use the Romulan side. This is mostly in there to throw off our opponent and make them think that we might do something with Romulans, because there is no punishment if we don't download this, or if we do it. And what else have we got here? We have Call for Reinforcements. This is a once per game download of a ship. Instead of our regular carplay, it has to be a universal ship. We are also seeding Holographic Communicator. Just after you report a DS9 property logo ship with at least 1 gold or silver staffing icon to your Alpha Quadrant facility, you may place this incident on that ship, this ship, and all your other ships of the same class at holodeck. If ship is destroyed, return incident to table, so we would then be able to play it on another ship. Cardassians have no holodecks on their ships, so we want to use this because we want to do that mission over here. When we see that, we can download Holographic Settlement. Seeds are placed on the Yadran colony. Holographic cards may exist on this planet and report activated. Your Rurigan and your DS9 icon holographic personnel may report here. Once each turn, one such personnel may do so for free if native to the Gamma Quadrant. So that's another free play. There are a couple of these guys in the deck, and they may exist there without holoprojectors or anything. So this has the great advantage that if these guys are killed by dilemmas, they are deactivated, but this has a punishment. It must be returned to owner's hand, limit once each turn, or placed beneath owner's draw deck. So they're not deactivated as regular holograms that you can simply turn on again, but rather you have to play them again from hand. But still, at least we get to keep them and we don't have to put them in the discard pile. Okay, and the other cards in there in the seed part help us to score points and to draw more cards. First up, we have cross-quadrant expansion. Seeds or plays on any facility in the Alpha Quadrant, so it needs to be played on the central command. Just after your DS9 icon personal reports here, you may relocate that personal to your ship with 2 or more staffing icons at a Gamma Quadrant location. So the idea is that after we have played a ship, we fly straight through the wormhole and we'll then be in the Gamma Quadrant. And the personal that we play to the central command will then basically be transported, be relocated to our ship in the Gamma Quadrant here. So we don't have to waste range flying back and forth. Text goes on. At the end of each turn, if you have a matching ship at a Gamma Quadrant location, you may draw an extra card. So that's just a bonus, another extra card draw. This card, incidentally, have a Dominion Treaty in play, or if you seeded a mission in the Bajor region. Which is why we couldn't afford to just run the Bajoran missions to make sure we have easy access to the Bajoran wormhole. That's the price we have to pay for that. The other 2 seed cards that we could simply ignore if we say we're going for a 3-mission win anyway. Could make room for more dilemmas. But they are Off Selvars. This is a card that I've seen misunderstood by some players because of the strange wording. Placed in a point area, the value changes where it is the number of quadrants in which you have completed the mission beyond the first. So we seed this at our planet mission in the Gamma Quadrant, and when we acquire that artifact, first of all, it isn't worth anything because we've only seeded, we've only solved a mission in one single quadrant. Only if we solve a mission in a quadrant other than the first one does this value increase. So if you solved a mission in the Mirror, Alpha, Gamma, and Delta Quadrant, for example, it would be worth 45 points. But if you have managed to do that, you have won the game anyway, and don't worry about those bonus points. So once we have completed missions in both quadrants, this is worth 15 points. 35, 15, 50. With that mission, we are up to 90, so we are 10 points short. And for that, we can use things like Valuable Prisoner. What this does is we're going to try and use this for the second function, so not for the bonus point part actually, but rather for the second one. Place on opponent's personnel who is about to be killed. Relocate as captive to your crew awaiting in same quadrant. So if our opponent is in the Alpha Quadrant, and most decks will go to the Alpha Quadrant at some point, the idea is that we are definitely going to kill one personnel because we've set up our dilemmas so that the first dilemma usually gives us a kill. And instead of killing that personnel, we can then capture them, put them where we have an away team. We will always have an away team at Cardassia. And then we may download a punishment card. The punishment cards that we can download are, for example, probably in the draw deck, not in the tent. I've seen one in the tent, but the ones I was thinking of are in the draw deck. For example, Prison Compound. If you control 3 Cardassians, yes, you score points, where the number of points is equal to the number of skill dot icons on all your captives. So if we kill a guy with 5 skill dots, for example, we can then use this to download the punishment card, the Prison Compound, to score 5 points. Or we can also wait and see, maybe we can capture another personal over the course of the game and trigger this later, or play it from hand later for 5 points. The other option, maybe it's in the tent after all. Yeah, there it is. Labor Camp, start of turn. If your Cardassian personnel present is escorting a captive, score 5 points. So this has to play it at a non-homeworld mission, which is why we have seeded the planet close to the HQ, because the idea would then be a captive is relocated to the central command, where we have an away team, the ones that are fueling the Study Divergent History draw engine, and then we would send them over to the non-homeworld mission, where the labor camp is, and then just sit there guarding their prisoner, and then at the start of each turn we can score 5 points. So this is an incident, so it cannot be easily nullified. Once we have set that up, our opponent would have to come over, kill our guys, so they can shut this down. And since the idea is that we will get this prisoner the first time our opponent attempts a mission, this can generate 5, 10, 15 points over the course of the game easily if their opponent doesn't do anything to deny it. Another option would be to download Quite a Coincidence with this one. Quite a Coincidence is also good. Seeds or place on table. Place on a personal just played. Can be our personal, can be our opponent's personal. When personal is killed, discard event to score points. So you can play this, for example, as a deterrent. Play it, and when your opponent plays a very valuable personal, like data or I don't know what, target him with Quite a Coincidence, and then your opponent will think twice about sending that personal on a mission attempt, because if you have a dilemma that simply kills a guy, for example, a fast ship would be nice, which is an opponent's choice kill, then that's an easy 10 points. If they say we get our points anyway, they can just ignore it. You can also trigger this when you play your own personal. For example, we use assign support personal to download a security support personal. We could then just beam this personal on the planet somewhere and play Remember the Alamo. Once per game, plays on a planet to randomly kill a security personnel. So we would just fly a lone security personnel over to the other planet, fly the ship or beam everyone up, and then the randomly selected personnel with security will be the one we targeted with Quite a Coincidence, and then give ourselves 10 points. Of course, we can also play Remember the Alamo offensively and kill an opponent's security personnel when we have the chance. But those are some of the things that can give you bonus points. Another thing would be Amen Maritza. Scores points if killed. So just send him on mission attempts. Maybe he runs into Rules of Obedience or one of the other things that kills one into Hanonian land deal. It's always good. Just send him in, score those 5 points, and you're one step closer to the round the corner win. Okay, so we haven't talked about one function yet. And let's put that back, that too. That can go in the tent. And that is the joint operation. We used it to download the treaty, but it also has additional text. Once each turn, your DS9 property logo Cardassian with any intelligence, so Obsidian Order personnel, may report for free. So that gives us a third free play actually. We can play one guy to the central command, must be a Gal or Legate. We can play an Obsidian Order personnel for free with this, and we can play a Gamma Quadrant hologram with this. And then we still have our regular card play. So potentially three free plays, a regular card play, which can be a ship or a personal, and then we still have our assigned support personal download. Or, as you can see here, we can also download holograms with the holodeck door. So on some turns, we should be able to put 5 personal into play. Of course, it also depends on the ratios in the deck, because there are a lot of Gulls. There aren't as many Obsidian Order personnel, and there are still fewer Gamma Quadrant holograms. So we are not always going to make use of the full selection of free play cards here. But let's just give it a try and see how this checks out if we just draw our opening hand here. So let's shuffle the deck, draw 7 cards. So, as you can see, what have we got? We have a gull, which is good. We don't have an Obsidian Order Personal, so the first hand isn't ideal. We have a ship. We have a holodeck door, which we could play now to download somebody, but this is a rather sad opening hand. What we would probably do now is just play, or just use a support personnel. There are, for example, Dorsa, and there should be another one in the deck. The one with greed, if we can find him. That's his face, yeah, Aramax. So let's put her back in the tent, because usually Aramax is the first one, just out of habit. Always use him as the first guy. And then, unfortunately, we can't play anymore. We will then stop Mirror and Alpha for a card draw. We cannot actually fly the chip to the Gamma Quadrant if we wanted to, but we are usually waiting with that anyway, because we need some personnel in the Alpha Quadrant. So, at the end of the turn, we would only draw one card. This is one of the worst opening hands imaginable, and it's not getting any better here. For the second turn, we at least get to play a Legate for free. We can play Kira. We can download a support personnel. Grab her. Now we can stop 2 and 2. And look at this, more holodeck doors. So apparently the ratios are very much not in our favor. At the end of the turn, we would draw another card. And as you can see, this is already not working quite well. We haven't seen a single Gamma Quadrant Universal Personnel. We haven't seen a single Obsidian Order Personnel. So this is really very, very sad. But that's the general idea. Let's just put them back into the tent and into the deck. And let's see if this was just a very bad Rakal shuffle, or whether this deck is really as bad as it looked just here. Let's draw 7 more cards. Okay, that's quite a different opening hand. We have everyone's favorite Gull. By the way, Gul Dukat did nothing wrong. We have an Obsidian Order Personnel, Garrick. We have a Gamma Quadrant Hologram. So this time we've been able to use all our card plays, all our free plays. So we can now grab a ship if we don't have one in hand with call for reinforcements. So let's open the deck and let's take out one that is easy to staff. There should be a Universal Galore in there somewhere. Or maybe I put it back in the tent. Yeah, I'll put it back in the tent. When we play the Galore, we target it with the Holographic Communicator. So it's placed on the ship, but really that makes things just more confusing on the table. The Galores all have a holodeck now. We are going to download the support personnel. Let's see if we can find Aramax again. There he is. So we'll draw one with Study Divergent. At the end of the turn, we can draw another one. And for our next turn, we have a free Gull. We have a free Obsidian Order Personal. For our next turn, we already have a Legate and another Obsidian Order Personal, so we might as well card play the HQ defensive measures if we think that our opponent might go after Verify Legendary Journey, or just card play the HQ Secure Homeworld, which could also play for free, but we might as well do it now to give us a way of solving Cardassia here. Then we would grab our second support personnel. And then we should already have enough guys in play to have 2 Mirror and 2 Alpha running our draw engine at the HQ. Stop them for 2 draws. And then we also have the staffing for the Galore. So we can fly to the wormhole for 1, over to here. If we have if we do this, we can also download wormhole navigation schematics, so we wouldn't be stopped. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. We are not thinking that our opponent is going to attack us or anything like that. We don't have to get to this mission desperately, so we might as well take the stop. We are still at a Gamma Quadrant location, so that gives us the extra end of turn card draw with the, what's it called, cross quadrant expansion. So we draw 2 to end, and this time we are set up much more nicely. Turn 3, play a Legate. We play him to our Alpha Quadrant facility and may immediately relocate it to the ship. Same goes for the Obsidian Order Personnel, played, immediately relocated. And then if our opponent had already attempted, maybe they would have run into the kill dilemma that gives us a prisoner. So we could play the prison compound if we wanted to. In our orders phase, we can download a support personnel or the holodeck door. And with the holodeck door, one of the first things we should download is Anastasia Komananov. May issue secret orders as if she were an infiltrator. Nobody cares about that. What is important about her is her special download of Smoke Bomb. Because as we have said in other episodes here and Tuesday's Dilemma Day, the special download of Smoke Bomb in the middle of the mission attempt can stop all you guys, because it plays to stop one crew or away team where you have personal presence. It stops all of them. If all the guys are stopped, the dilemma doesn't hit you. If nobody's facing the dilemma just goes under, and you don't suffer the bad stuff that would normally happen. Of course, you have to announce it before the trigger actually kicked in. So you're not going to wait who is killed with a random selection or something like that. But if you think this dilemma is going to destroy my ship, play the Smoke Bomb, put the dilemma back under, and next time you attempt, you fly in with some sacrificial lambs. So she's going to be a very useful first personnel, because then you can attempt much more aggressively at investigate Omicron particles. The next things we should keep in mind is that there are a couple of ready room doors in here, simply because we have quite a good supply of universal personnel. And we have, of course, a lower decks in the tent to boost the attributes. And we are also going to use this for one of our dilemmas, so let's protect it with the ready room door. And then we could just start attempting, see what's under there. To complete this, we would need a computer skill, which is of course trivial, and 3 holographic personnel. That's a bit trickier than it sounds, because there aren't too many, but we can download them with the holographic with the holodeck door. Another good one that we cannot play for free because she's not Gamma Quadrant is Mona Loves It. She's got all the skills: science, biophysics, navigation, anthropology. There's also Vic in here. He can download any card if opponent's dilemma just stopped a personal present. So it downloads into the mission attempt because it's a special download. So you can use this to grab whichever skill you need to beat the following dilemma or whatever you think is in there. It's also a good way to get a cheap ship in play or something else. Sometimes you also use it to get cards you could play for free anyway, just because you need them in that situation. The guys that do play for free are several copies of Merrick. Science, medical, anthrophysics, all around good skills here. There's also Rorigan. He has computer skill ×3, an honor. There's Taya with archaeology, geo, and she may download any Odo, which is why you've seen one in the tent here. There's this new Cardassian Odo who has honor, law, computer skill, diplo, and security. So a couple of neat tricks here. And there's Collius, who gives all our Gamma Quadrant non-aligned personnel attributes +1. However, in general, this deck is rather light on a couple of skills. For example, Engineer. There is only 6, I think, in the deck so far. If you wanted to add more engineers, you'd probably have to add more cards that cost your regular card play. There are some good support personnel engineer, but they have the Star Trek Next Generation property logo, so they cannot be used here if you want to keep all the other stuff. A couple of support personnel that you find, for example, Belva, Bio and Archaeology. Turo plays for free because of the Obsidian Order. There is another copy of him here. And there should be another one. Yeah, there it is. And there's also Jerex, who has got security for the aforementioned combo with the Quite a Coincidence, to place it on a security personally downloaded it and then kill it with Remember the Alamo. The other guys are in there because they are Gulls and play for free, or Obsidian Order personnel, meaning their skill selection isn't as great. A couple of the ones that don't play for free are Ilantandro, simply because once per game he may capture one personal present, and it's your choice. So if you're close to your opponent, you can take out a very good personal or one with a lot of skill dots that is good money for Prison Compound, and so on. There is also a female scientist somewhere. Yeah, Delora. Science, Engineer, Astrophysics, Honor. She is worth the card play in this deck because you're short on Engineer and Astrophysics anyway. Another skill that I've noticed is in short supply is Exobiology. I think in the first draft there wasn't a single Exobiology. Now I have Emok, maybe another Emok in there, to at least have one instance of that skill. But if you look at the skill matrix in the Trek CCG deck builder that I'm going to put in the description of this video once it's on YouTube, it's really not a deck that can run with some of the others that we've showcased in the past here. There is another punishment card that I haven't mentioned before, Awaiting Trial. If you don't have anything else to do, plays on table. At the end of each turn, if you have a captive, draw an extra card. So that is also something that can help your deck get running faster, especially if your opponent runs into such a kill dilemma early on. That can give you a big advantage here. I haven't mentioned the downloads of Taking Charge and Defend Homeworld here. Taking Charge usually grabs Combined Strike, plays on your Gamma Quadrant mission. Your personnel may report here to your matching intelligence personnel aboard your ship native to the Alpha Quadrant, but we have the relocation anyway. When solved by your non-Gamma Quadrant personnel, so we have lots of alphas in there, draw up to 5 cards, then discard to score points. So we can simply download this. We only need a Gull or Legate in play, which is not a problem. Sooner or later we will draw into one. And we simply have to be able to do this before we solve this mission. So then it's another 5 points. And we are closer yet to the round the corner win. And with the Defend Homeworld, we have a couple of options. We can, of course, use it to grab HQ defensive measures to protect Verify Legendary Journey. Or we can also use it to download a security personnel. And probably the best choice here is Legate Damar, because he's got good skills, everything you need for HQ Secure Homeworld. And he can also special download for Cardassia. And this incident is quite useful. All your Cardassians present are Integrity and Strength +2. So that's a great bonus if you can keep Damar alive. And then he also has the added bonus of when you complete HQ Secure Homeworld at Cardassia with Damar, you may then discard objective and either download 2 Cardassians who have honor, or place Legate and 2 Cardassians who have honor from that away team out of play to score points. So 35 plus 15 for the Homeworld mission here is really quite a big bounty that we have here. And that's a good second option if you find a dead end at Investigate Omicron Particles. If you don't get 35 plus the 15 from the off-cell vars here, you can try and do the Cardassia Homeworld with the 15 bonus points from 4 Cardassia, bring you to 50, Legendary Journey for another 40, and then some of the bonus point cards, Prison Compound, could get you to 100 as well, but not as reliable as with the Combined Strike and the extra 5 there. Okay, Labor Camp we've addressed, Wormhole Navigation Schematic we've addressed too, so let's have a look at the Dilemma section. I said I'm trying to kill a personnel as soon as possible. For that, we have the following seeded under 4 missions. 4 missions will be seeded with Rules of Obedience or Misinterpreted History as the first dilemma, because they all start with an unconditional personnel with blah 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 is killed, opponent's choice. This is rather useful because this also gives us some say in what kind of personnel we capture. Ideally, we can get somebody who has got 5 skill dot icons, because then we have much better chances of just running the Prison Compound for 5 bonus points and not just 4 and end on 99 points or something like that. If our opponent attempts one of the other missions, they'll find a dead end at one of them. If they find dead end and go to the 6th one, they'll find Experience Beige, or maybe also something with an Edo probe. Place on mission, cannot be attempted or scouted, may be nullified by any player encountering another dilemma. So they can't attempt this one, meaning once these 2 have been opened up, they will have to go here, and then we will get our kill. And the other cards you've seen in the tent are for the previously very cheesy, now still annoying Enemies of the State. If you've never played with this, this one can be quite tough. Place on planet, opponent may download 3 dissidents to planet. We will download 1 dissident, 2 dissidents, 3 dissidents. Now at start of each attempt here, away team stopped if integrity from up to X personnel is lower than the opposing integrity, and X is the number of opposing personnel present. So what this means is we count the integrity of the guys we've got here, and our opponent must be able to match that integrity total with only 3 of their personnel. If we've got 3, they have to bring 3, and as soon as their integrity is even 1 point lower, the away team will be stopped. So what do they need to beat? Ari is a printed 8. Natimalang is a printed 8, so that's 16. And Tekeni is a printed 9, so that's 25. However, Natima is attributes all +2 if she's with another Cardassian dissident, so that brings it to 27. And usually Ari will benefit from the lower decks, so that will be 27. So our opponent would have to find a combination of 3 personnel that on average have 9 integrity in order to beat this. And that's doable for several affiliations. Others will struggle quite a bit, especially if we run it after something like Rules of Obedience, where we can choose to kill the personnel with the highest integrity first and already take out an 8 that could be boosted by taking charge or anything else. So this is an annoying combination. It sticks around for 3 turns. Then if the opponent still hasn't managed to beat that integrity wall here, it goes away. But then we could still play things like the smoke bomb that we've seen in the Q's tent. And whenever opponent beams down, we just play the smoke bomb on our away team and stop the opponent's away team before they can attempt the mission. So they have to beam down, then we get an action, we play the interrupt, and then that away team is stopped. If the away team is stopped on the planet, our opponent has still a way to actually attempt the mission without us playing another smoke bomb, and that's if they say they are not going to play any cards, they forfeit all the card draws and say the first action of the turn is a mission attempt. That's something that you can do. In that case, the opponent doesn't get the window of opportunity to play a smoke bomb, which is a weird little situation that sometimes can make a difference. All right, this deck is definitely still a work in progress. It's not something that I would be happy to take to a tournament. It could be quite fun. I'm looking at ways of incorporating more capture-related stuff, for example, transporter drones or something like that. But that's going to bloat the deck quite a bit. And as you've seen in the first draw, sometimes you just get a bad shuffle and it'll take a couple of turns until your deck actually gets going. But these games just happen. The second one was a lot nicer. If we trim it a little bit, if we can take out some of the decks, some of the cards that take our card play or some of the extra ready room doors, we could of course make it a bit tighter, maybe it runs a bit more smoothly, but it still would suffer from some of the skill holes that can be exploited by an opponent who knows more or less what's coming. And one of your chances would be if your opponent puts you on one of the other Cardassian things, for example, Cardassian Liberation Front, which plays Universal Dissidents every turn, can download them every turn. They've got a couple of personnel that have skills that are not present as much in this deck here, so they would maybe see their dilemmas differently. But that's something that you can't count on. So if you want to give this deck a try, let me know how it works for you, and if you have suggestions how to make this better, tighter, eliminate things that you think aren't going to work, please let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to have a look at what you think makes this one better. A last comment here, this episode is number 9. There's going to be one more, and then maybe there's going to be a short break because work is going to be a bit more busy. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do for next week, but I hope it's going to be a bit more competitive than this one here. Speaking of competitive decks, our deck number 3, an original series Federation deck that I said would be something that I would be happy to take to a tournament. It was actually played in the World Championship weekend. One player used it in the World Championship Trek qualifier and eliminated one of the best players of this game. So I was happy to see that. She didn't win the whole tournament, but at least she took out one of the big names. And in day 2 of the One World Championship, a different player used the deck as well, and he managed to eliminate a former 3-time world champion with it. But he then ran into a TNG Borg deck that was very fast, and it was still a close affair, but he was eliminated. Still, I was quite happy that people are taking these decks, and if you have tried one of these, I'd be happy to know about it. And if you like these things at all, please leave a like or a subscription to this channel. Okay, that's all for today. Until next week, bye everyone.